All right, guys. Good midday to you here. We're what are we, Thursday, February 22nd. We're about lunchtime. And final coin of the day here per member's request. It's a project I've not heard of. It's no surprise. It's only a month old. It's Bluzelle. Bluzelle. I've got a 30-minute chart up here. It's trading on Binance. Bluzelle. All right, so let's have a look at it over here on CoinGecko. We can see, well, it's only been around for a month. New project. So not, to get to 40 on the scale here, not bad for 30 days, 86 million in market cap. So, there's some development interest here. So this could be one that's a comer, a bit early for me, but I've got members that want to have a look at it. Is it tradable? Well, it's over here. So there's so little history here. I've gone to a 30-minute to see if we can make any sense of it. So first question is it trading technically? Well, we've already put in a fresh low down here. But, just to try and get a handle on it. So if you have a new project like that, so what are you going to do? It's just, again, it's chart's a chart. So let's just see here. So up for the first one, well, that's kind of interesting. We right to the golden pocket, boom, right to the algo target. So, do you draw a conclusion from that? Well, certainly it's trading technically. You can't argue with that, but rip. Target, reaction. It goes all the way down. Nice reaction, by the way. So, how about on the way down? Well, so, that I'd work here now because that's our lower low. We get anything there? Well, that's kind of interesting. So, if I go all the way back, not quite there. If I go to the first lower pivot, so here's the perfect front run on the 50, right to target, and they're just front running. They're just taking profit a little early. So, fairly strong indication that we've got algorithms in here. That's what they do right there. There it is. Boom, reaction. Now we come down. They've gone all the way to their second target. Interesting. So again, I would just keep measuring here. Do we have anything here? Not as good there. So you could make a case here since we got the second algo target from this pull here. This was the 23. This was the negative 618. So I know if I've got members interested in this project that they're looking for the long side here and whether or not we've got a good pivot. So let's just wick it off and see. All right, we know that likely here. So going to the last major pivot, all right? So we know we're going to run into some resistance coming up here because algos have been making money all the way down. So that's, if we get up here, this area right here, this pivot here, potentially. So there's a little prior resistance right ahead of the 50. You got the same thing here. Right? So you're going to have resistance on the way up. So do we have anything here? Well, let's dig in and blow it up a little bit and see if there's anything to make of that. Well, so the assumption would be that we've got a good pivot there. Well, I guess we can take this off. We know that resistance is going to be there on the way back up. Right? It's been demonstrated repeatedly. So now here, what do we get? Here, this is our first. We get a higher low, and it looks like we've got potentially here another higher low. So, but possibility is here that we've got a 5-wave underway. So we can go 1, 2, 3. Looks like, is it done yet? There might be one more push down, but right now we'd have to work with that as our 5. So, just again, just rudimentary stuff here. So, come here, swing low to swing high. What do we get there? So I'd probably put it that way. That's likely to be. So perfect, just right between the 50 and the 618. Here's the first algo target, second target. So a candidate for a third. That plays. So it's technical here. So now we have just barely overlapped the 1. So we have a diagonal on our hand. So potentially leading diagonal. So we would take it from the swing low, looking for somewhere between the 38 and the 50, right? So here's our 1. Looks like A, B, C, excuse me, down into our 2. So is that 1, 2 into the 5? Well, we got an algo target sitting up here. If we get that reaction, you can make a case here that it's been front run here on the 50 and that they're going up for that target. Well, then you could, maybe now you're building a case that you've got a hard low here and then you've got a leading diagonal to set us up for a 1-wave. So, it's not confirmed yet, but it's a candidate. So if we can get this thing up here, so again, now I'm hypothetical. If we can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's go to a larger degree. Does that make sense? Yeah, Whoops, I don't want that larger degree. I wanted, what do I want? I don't want cycle. I want minuet. Okay, there we go. All right, so candidate here for a one wave. This would confirm that we're coming out of this, so we'd get higher low, higher high, right? So this would be our, so that's all the five wave is, guys. It's just to simplify, higher lows, right? Creating a trend, higher highs. Then you look for that to be corrected. So do we get a one up here? If so, then we just pull from the absolute. So I'm just, again, now I'm hypothetical. So if we get our one there, then we're just looking for a three wave to bring us down into the B. So yet again, so now it's on a different scale. So yet again, we get a higher low. That's what we're trying to get on board. Another higher low, but can we get it in a three wave subdivision? Can we get this to bring us down to that, right? What would we have there? So just to maybe this is a better way to describe it, just keeping it simple. So what do we get here? Now we would get the pivot here, then we would get a lower high. All right, so if this goes up, so there's other ways to qualify this. So let's say we go up here. All right, so what do we have here? What do you see? I think I can show it to you with, I think they have it. Yeah, here. So what would this potentially set up for? What does that look like? What is that? Oops, maybe I can't do it. I thought I could. Let's try that again. Well, I think you can get the idea. Let me show it to you this way. Yeah, trying to be fancy on the fly, and I'm looking like an idiot. Okay, so there would be potentially a shoulder, right? So you'd have potentially a head and shoulders. If this were to come down, here's your B. So, we call it an ABC retracing into a 2. You could look at that as a head and shoulders. Here's your neckline. Right. Yeah, here where I can use just a trend line. So here would be the neckline. Here's the shoulders, right? So head's the 1, A comes down shoulder, B's the right shoulder, we come down. So, maybe that's just a different way to look at it. So, is there overlap between, classic charting technique and charting patterns with Elliott Wave? Of course, right? They're all going to be there. You want to simplify? Well, the 5 wave is just a series of higher highs and higher lows. Coming down, we get our first lower high, then we get a lower low, right? If that's gonna come down, and now we're gonna go up here for the 3. Well, we're gonna get out of that 3. So on the larger degree, now the 2 relative to the low here. Now I have a higher low. Now, do I come out of that, and can I get that done? Can I come up and then continue that series of higher lows and higher highs? Can I get that? Followed by that, followed by that, right? It's the same thing, right? So you see, that's all that is. So you want to call this a head and shoulders? No problem. You want to call it an algo pull? No problem. You want to call it a series, I got a lower high, I'm going to a lower low. What looks like that trend is turning around. Now I have a new trend. Now I've got a higher low. Now I've got a higher high, higher low, higher high. Right? So, if that helps you, right? So just putting it in that terminology, as opposed to getting all caught up in the Elliott Wave rules, and this can't do that, and this one must do that, but occasionally it does that. That, as I always tell you, the Elliott Wave is optional. It's not mandatory. I use it because I know it, and it helps me. But you want to look at this as a head and shoulders, no problem. You want to just use trend lines, no problem. Here you could just put a trend on this. Okay, so I've got a Fibonacci here. I've got a trend line here. I can put a trend line if I get this here. Break the trend line, up we go. Oh, I've got a trend line break. Because a trend line this would imply that it's a supply line, right? So you can think of it that way. So we're coming up here. This is the supply line. Every time we get there, supply overwhelms demand and it takes it down. This is a demand line, right? Same kind of thing. So let's see if I can do this. So if I come back down here, this would be a demand line. Every time I touch it, I get demand steps in. Buyers stepped in. There's demand. Supply. So again, that's just using traditional charting techniques to suggest, okay, if I'm going to break, if I break or if I hold here, now I get a higher high, or pardon me, a higher low, then up I go. Oh, if I break the trend line, now I've got a higher high. You know, where does Elliott Wave fit into that? Well, because we can get these recurring patterns, and they have a tendency to move with relationships relative to one another. That's why whenever we're looking at a 2 projecting for the 3, we know we have a probability map that we can use. Doesn't mean it's going to follow it. It just means that it's there, and it increases the probability, so we know where to expect pivots. So here, 100%, I've got to at least get 100% if this is going to be a 3. If not, I could still have these higher highs and higher lows, but I can qualify it here. So the Elliott Wave lets me organize it. Otherwise, it's much harder to get a grip on where you are and what's happening. Are we trending? Are we correcting? Is that 3? Is that 5? It's just telling me that if I follow this, so if I break that, I have the potential, nothing more than the potential for a third wave. It's just a swing that's longer than the first swing. Could be a 3. There's a tendency for that pattern to be repeating in the market. So it doesn't mean it will and it must follow. Right? You can't. That's a mistake that a lot of Elliott Wave traders, particularly when they're first learning this, it fails all the time, right? So there's your roadmap, potential roadmap. Could be. There's the trend line. Now maybe that turns into a channel. Now maybe we're doing this, saying, okay, I've got a channel going up here. Oh, good. Higher low, higher low, higher high. You see how you kind of just putting it together? Well, here's the highest probability most often, if that's going to be a third wave, if it's going to go in excess of the length of the first swing, the highest probability upon statistical analysis of millions of swings, that if it is going to play into a 5-wave structure, it has a very strong tendency to go 1/6, 1/8 the length of the first swing. Now you can, why? You can, algorithms control the market now, so, it lets you draw your own conclusions. What I can do is provide the evidence and show you this, that time after time after time, you're going to see this pattern in the market. Not all the time. Not always must this go here. Right? Wave counts fail all the time. It's only a potential roadmap. But as I've said many, many times, when it follows it, you literally have, it's like getting tomorrow's, what would be an old movie analogy? It'd be like getting tomorrow's newspaper, ahead of time. So the winning lottery numbers, the horses that won, they come up with your own analogy here. It's an unfair advantage. You know where the market's going. Not all the time, but when it's there, you've got the roadmap before it's even begun. This is all just the potential, right? So you can think that's why they're dashed lines. That's all just maybe, could, it might. Certainly has done it before. That's all you get. That's all you get. Could be, might be, and then money management. There's the essence of trading right there. Place your stop. If it rips and goes there, beautiful. If it doesn't, next trade. All right, guys.